Good evening and welcome to CYC News for today, the 1st of February 2014 and the 23rd of October 17:30 AM. I'm Leanne Gabriel.
And I'm John Mazian. In today's headlines, Pope Tawadros visits St. Antony's monastery in the Red Sea. Egypt dismisses US criticism of journalist trial. Talks in Egyptian streets about General El Sisi. US will seek death penalty against Boston bombing suspect Edward Snowden. Leaks Canada spied on airport travellers.
We begin our lead story in Egypt, where His Holiness Pope Tawadros II visited St. Antony's monastery in the Red Sea last Thursday, on the occasion of St. Anthony's feast. He ordained new monks and consecrated a new church in the monastery. The monastery of St. Antony was built between 361 and 363 AD. A few years after the death of St. Anthony, his followers settled around the place where the hermit lived. In the 6th and 7th centuries, many monks from the monasteries of Sketes fled to the monastery of St. Anthony in order to escape frequent attack by Bedouins and Berbers.
Egypt's foreign ministry on Thursday dismissed US criticism of the charges placed against Al Jazeera journalists for belonging to a terrorist group, arguing that Egypt's judiciary is fair and independent. On Wednesday, the United States called the decision of Egypt's top prosecutor to try the journalists an egregious disregard for basic rights and freedoms. But Egypt's foreign ministry spokesman, Badrul Abdelati, hit back on Thursday, saying that it is unacceptable that any external party or country interfere with the work of Egypt's judicial system. The 20 journalists, 16 Egyptians, and 4 foreigners were all referred by prosecutors to a criminal court on Wednesday. The Egyptians were charged with joining a terrorist organization, a reference to the Muslim Brotherhood, which was deemed a terrorist group last December by Egypt's interim authorities, as well as harming national unity and social peace. The foreigners, an Australian, 2 Britons, and a Dutch, are accused of airing false news in order to undermine the state's status and disrupt public security.
Egypt's interim president, Adli Mansour, issued a presidential decree on Monday promoting General Abdel Fattah El Sisi, the army chief and minister of defense, to the rank of field marshal. El Sisi's popularity soared last year when on the 3rd of July 2013 he announced the ouster of Morsi amid nationwide mass protests against the Islamist president's troubled one-year rule. As a result, a number of campaigns have sprung up to pressure the general to run for the presidency at the upcoming elections. While he had initially announced that he would not seek power, El Sisi has more recently said the possibility is open. On Sunday, Mansour announced that the presidential elections will be held before parliamentary polls, an amendment to the traditional roadmap, which was agreed upon by various political forces on the 3rd of July. The Constitution was put into effect on the 18th of January after a 2-day referendum on the 14th and 15th, which yielded an overwhelming 98.1% majority approval of the Charter.
The US government says it will seek the death penalty against Boston Marathon bombing suspect Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. US Attorney General Eric Holder said in a statement, "The nature of the conduct at issue and the resultant harm compel this decision." 17 of the 30 charges against the 20-year-old, including using a weapon of mass destruction to kill, carry the possibility of capital punishment. The bombings killed 3 and injured more than 260 in April of 2013. Mr. Tsarnaev had pleaded not guilty and no trial date has been set. Prosecutors allege that Mr. Tsarnaev and his deceased older brother, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, built and planted 2 pressure cooker bombs near the finish line of the marathon. The bombers lived in the Massachusetts town of Cambridge, home of the prestigious Harvard University, after immigrating to the US in 2002 from Caucasus region of southern Russia. Officials believe they set off the bombs in retaliation against the US for its military action in Muslim countries.
The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation has reported that Canada's electronic spy agency has collected data from travellers passing through a major airport. The report says that CSEC collected information captured from unsuspecting passengers' wireless devices by the airport's free Wi-Fi system over 2 weeks. The revelations come from documents leaked by Edward Snowden. The CSEC is prohibited by law from targeting Canadians or anyone in Canada without an appropriate warrant. Its primary mission is to collect foreign intelligence by intercepting overseas phone and internet traffic. The Communications Security Establishment Canada, in a statement to CBC, reiterated that it is mandated to collect foreign signals to protect Canada and Canadians.
Officials say that Italian police hunting for a stolen relic bearing the blood of Pope John Paul II have recovered its gold and glass case. But the cloth stained with the blood itself is still missing. The cloth came from a cassock that John Paul was wearing in 1981 when a gunman tried to assassinate him. 3 suspects who allegedly stole the relic from the church in the Abruzzo region but threw the cloth away, not realizing its value, were arrested. A search is underway on the outskirts of La Aquila city. It is concentrated on the area built for people made homeless by the region's 2009 earthquake.
Australian authorities have approved a project to dump dredged sediment in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park as part of a project to create one of the world's biggest coal ports. The decision was made by the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority. Scientists urged it not to back the project, saying that the sediment could smother or poison the coral. Several companies want to use the Abbott Point port to export coal reserves from the Galilee Basin area. Abbott Point lies south of Townsville on the Queensland coast. Late last year, the government approved an application for the coal terminal to be expanded. The dredging is needed to allow ships into the port.
Calls for European Central Bank action to help protect the Eurozone's fragile recovery have grown after the release of inflation and jobless data. Official figures showed that Eurozone inflation fell to 0.7% in January, down from 0.8% in December, and further below the ECB's 2% target. It had fueled worries about whether the Eurobloc could suffer deflation, potentially derailing economic growth. Separate data showed the unemployment rate in December was unchanged at 12%.
Search engine giant Google reported fourth quarter profits of $3.38 billion, up 17% from a year earlier, buoyed by strong advertising revenue. The firm also announced a stock split that will take place on the 2nd of April. The company reported a widening loss of $384 million in its Motorola mobility unit, compared to $152 million in 2012. Google announced the surprise sale of that business late on Wednesday to Chinese computer maker Lenovo for $2.91 billion. News of the deal caused Google shares to jump on Thursday because the unit had long been a drag on the firm's profits.
Research suggests that the high number of early deaths in Russia is mainly due to people drinking too much alcohol, particularly vodka. The study in The Lancet says 25% of Russian men die before they are 55, and most of these deaths are down to alcohol. The comparable UK figure is 7%. Causes of death include liver disease and alcohol poisoning. Many also die in accidents or after getting into fights. The study is thought to be the largest of its kind in the country. Researchers from the Russian Cancer Center in Moscow, Oxford University in the UK, and the World Health Organization International Agency for Research on Cancer in France tracked the drinking patterns of 151,000 adults in 3 Russian cities over up to 10 years. During that time, 8,000 of them died. The researchers also drew on previous studies in which families of 49,000 people who had died were asked about their loved ones' drinking habits.
According to US doctors, good cholesterol also has a nasty side that can increase the risk of heart attacks. Good, or HDL cholesterol, normally helps to keep arteries clear and is good for heart health. But the team at the Cleveland Clinic showed it can become abnormal and lead to blocked blood vessels. They say people should still eat healthily, but that the good cholesterol story is more a complex tale than previously thought. The trials aimed at boosting levels of HDL have not been successful, and the role of good cholesterol is clearly more complicated. And that's all for CYC News today. Stay tuned for more Christian content on CYC. I'm Leanne Gabriel.
And I'm John Mazian from the CYC studios in Sydney, Australia. Good night and God bless.